So this is Mo Howard. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Mo's image. We haven't looked at images lately or at all, but let's actually simplify this a bit. And I'm just going to go in here and we're just going to put in an image tag. Now, the way that we can end up getting this image, because this image is hosted somewhere else, is by putting a source attribute here. And what will happen is that when our page loads, it'll end up going and getting this image, and we'll see this very large image of Mo. Well, one of the things that we could end up doing here is we could end up scaling this image down quite a bit. Now again, we could do this with, probably do it with some styles as well. But if we went over here and we said, well, we want the width to be 25%, could do it as a percentage. What will happen is that this will end up scaling, right? It's going to be 25% of what the screen width is, and it'll end up scaling the width and height. You want to be a little bit careful here of going over here and saying, well, we want the height to scale as well to 25%, because then you're going to end up having a distorted image. The other thing you could also do is you could say, well, we want this to be, maybe it's a little bit easier to think about this in terms of pixels, maybe. You could also say, I want this to be 100 pixels, and it'll be 100 pixels, and it won't end up scaling all that much. One thing that's kind of interesting about images, if I was to go over here and put in Mo Howard, so images are inline block, meaning that they have block functionality here, but they're inline in the sense that if we put something next to them, it'll end up flowing over here to the right. So, if we went over here and put in Mo and Howard, we'd be over here on the left and the right. We'll learn how to do things, center things vertically a little bit later on. But one of the things we could end up doing with this image, we'd have a tough time, going over here and saying, hey, look, we want this, let's say we wanted this to show up as a circle, let's say. We could think, well, maybe we'll do a height of 100 pixels, but then it's going to be kind of distorted here. And we could say, well, how about if we do a border radius? And what would the radius be? 50 pixels. I mean, it'll show up as a circle, but it's a very distorted image. So there's another way that we could work with images by using CSS and setting a background image. And this will give us a little bit more control of how we can end up positioning the background image and scaling it as well.